lobby for, advocate for to the president and his board of visitors to try and get that done for us.
Do you have a plan for working with Dr. Lewis, who's our advisor? What's your ideal relationship with her?
I would love to, one, just learn from you as far as your role and here at Old Dominion, work with you with the graduate assistant training, seeing maybe if there's any changes that can be made. I know you mentioned earlier about wanting to change the constitution for GSO. I do have experience in that as a student leader at UNC Wilmington. I wrote the constitution for the gospel choir and for my sorority. I was actually a founding member and brought my chapter of my sorority to our campus, and so we had to start pretty much from scratch writing that constitution. And I do completely understand the need to make sure that positions are more fluid and that there is that continuity between those. And so when I was president of the organizations there, I made sure that we wrote in, number one, people couldn't be, of course, that was 4 years that people were there, was undergrad. But I wrote into our constitution that no one could hold a position more than 2 years because I wanted to make sure that the people coming after them would still have that person who came before them around and on campus, either still in the organization or just somewhere where they can contact them and they can still have that mentorship relationship and they can tell them, well, this is what I'm going through, and then that person can then tell them how they made it through the same situation. So I feel like that's really important.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? We're about at the 2-minute limit anyway, so. Okay, you can always email. I'm sure she'd be happy to respond.
Please do.
All right, so we have 3 candidates for vice president. I figured the fairest way would be ABC order. So Sharon, if you'd like to go, then Alita and Julia will follow.
Okay, my name is Mitsui Blake. It's Sharon, but I prefer Mitsui. And one, thank you so much for having us here today to kind of give our speech. I think you did a great job. I too am a full-time doctoral student in the higher education program here on campus. I'm ending my first year. And back in March, I started to look around and I was like, I'm really not integrated into this institution beyond my coursework. And I get to work with amazing people. Also took classes with President Roderick and have been able to attend certain functions with the provost to see how the institution runs. But in terms of connecting with other students, there was a large disconnect. So while I was researching online, I saw that this organization existed. And at that time, Yasmin and I started dialoguing about what we felt was some way that we could really contribute to this organization. And one of our major ideas that we were coming to was how we really wanted, like she said, to connect with other departments. I feel like the education department, the education building, that's pretty much where I settle. I know some people sporadically, but there wasn't this large networking opportunity for graduate students, which when you're in the field of education is highly interdisciplinary. We're looking at things from multiple angles and multiple dimensions, and so we wanted to really be able to reach out. Not only that, coming from a personal place, I felt like I really wanted to be more connected and with other students, period. A PhD can be a very lonely road, and you're working alongside maybe a mentor, and you have 1 or 2 things. Life gets so busy, as we all know, but I felt like this support system, this network of being able to kind of interact with others who are going through the same process, and then mentoring those in our master's degree programs because we have been there before, becomes kind of a vital necessity for our own sanity and emotional health. In terms of qualifications, I have been a leader for a majority of my life in different capacities. Currently, I'm a region leader for an international organization. It's the largest peace movement organization in the world that was founded by teachers based on the 3 pillars of peace, culture, and education. And that training has led me to give speeches at the United Nations. I was a diplomat in high school, college ambassador in college, and have been able to have a lot of international dialogues, which is something why I really believe in the diversity of this organization. Also, I work in collaboration with Dr. William Greer at Virginia Wesleyan, and I spearheaded my little brainchild. It's called the One Love Festival, which brings people from interfaith, kind of all different faith backgrounds together to have a dialogue, a day of dialogue, and they created a Nexus series based off of this ideology. We moved here from Hawaii when I was a child, so I've taught in this area. We've been mainly low SES minorities, but because of all of my leadership positionings within teaching, whether it was lead AP teaching or the Virginia Advanced Studies Strategies program, these different initiatives that are working in the field of education, I've been able to really network out in this community and then also throughout the state. I'm also beginning a charter school. We were just approved in November for low socioeconomic students in DC. So I had to learn a lot about fundraising, reaching out, sponsorships, and making kind of community networks. And I like to bring these expertise alongside whoever ends up being president to kind of support them through these initiatives and also bring my creativity and my passion for education just underlying to this organization to really help foster success. Because I think a graduate, we're all academically ready, but it takes more than just academics to get through the rigor of a PhD program or a master's program. It is about networking, it is about interpersonal skills, social skills, and it is about developing strong friendships alongside that, which is something that I think we would all benefit from here at ODU. I think I hit everything. Sorry. Oh, goals for the 2013-2014 academic year. Kind of touched on some of them. One, we would like to branch out and get more departments involved because I didn't even know that this organization existed. And I think Yasmin hit on an interesting point that those orientation days were so long and I felt slightly overwhelmed with paperwork, and we were given a plan of study that my brain wasn't thinking about those. It was thinking about, okay, how am I going to navigate my way through my first summer institute? Plus, we've gone through a hazing week of 2 weeks straight. So my brain was kind of shut down. I didn't know that that existed. And so we're kind of thinking of ways of how can we really connect with other graduate students. What kind of social activities would be things where we can just let all the stress go, but at the same time engage in really constructive dialogue.
Okay, so we have to stop you.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
That's fine. Any questions?
2-minute question period. I have a question about campus because we're pretty visible on campus. We're in the newsletter. We're on the front page often. So I'd just like you to speak a little bit about your connections with the university at large and how you propose making those connections as vice president.
Okay, currently my interactions are mainly through, we just started this Asia. I like what the name we came up with is Asian Students in America. We're kind of looking at, a lot of it was undergraduate, so I think navigating my way through on a graduate level was kind of interesting. But we came up with so I belong to this Asian, also looking at multiracial, been working with the OIR in terms of making more diversity institute kind of awareness on racial things of that nature. Been doing a lot of grants with professors in the education department. And I think that's where my concern was everything that I was doing was interacting with administrators, with President Broderick, who's across the hallway, or with Dr. Simpson. It was mainly administrators. And so I think for me, the big gap is with students. I'd like to engage more with students. The way I would want to connect is through the think tank ideas that we've come up with, which was attending introductory classes, making ourselves visible on a personal one-to-one versus relying solely on the online. We want to kind of get out there and actually engage in dialogue with these students to the best of our capacity to kind of be the voice of the organization and really kind of connect with them on a more personal level to pull their participation in.
Other questions for Sharon?
Okay.
All right. Thanks. No problem. All right. Yes, go ahead.
My name's Rebecca Summers. I'm a second semester back student. I'll be finishing my first semester, first full year in 2 weeks. So it's been a pleasure. Being a part of GSO throughout the whole last year was one of those integral parts for me to successfully complete my first year, because I was a first-year doc student moving from a different state, and the first people that I met were my GSO friends. So it really was a great connection for me. So being that I've had a year to kind of experience the transition of the administrative team and to work with them and to attend the festivities, I kind of feel like as vice president, I'm not ready to step in the president role because I'm taking on 4 classes next semester. But I do want to be in an administrative role so that I can kind of assist with what's going on within our organization. From the fact that administrative last year, they actually did go out into classrooms and they actually did a lot of heavy recruiting. And I know for a fact we did as much as we could, but as So I think just building on what we've already done and just continuing it. Networking through our graduate program, our higher umbrella that we already have, I think is a great resource as far as constructing our group and aligning it with the undergraduate SGA, because we fall up under them opposed to being an SGA all of our own. As far as qualifications, I've been in leadership from middle school, high school, serving as vice president of not SGA, but like our PTA, like student council. Like I started back in those events. I served as grade level chair for my school when I was still teaching. I served as co-chair, high is public relations for my sorority. I did the Leadership Green Girl, which is a community service leadership program within my city. And I served as vice president of the Peer Advising Leadership Group. I had the personal opportunity to work really close with leadership last semester, so I really know some things that GSO is looking for as far as our growth and development and following a lot of the service programs that we offered last year as far as networking and being that tool for graduate students to come together. From working with the biology student group to the engineering student group, like making sure that we're pulling representation from all of the colleges across campus. Those things and those small networks that we've already started, just kind of building up and helping our president with those activities. I'm super excited that we have so many people here, so regardless if I become vice president or not, I'm still going to be in the organization because I really feel like it was something that really helped me as a graduate student. So that's about it. I'm really excited and so glad so many people are here, and I hope that you continue to come throughout the next year so that we can continue to build our organization. Any questions?
I do have a question. You mentioned getting more involved with the national organization. Can you describe how you would do that?
Yes, they have a national conference and a regional conference for the umbrella group that we're part of, which is how we were able to get insurance for graduate students right now. Although it's not the best insurance, it gives us the option to have insurance because it's not available at the college level except for international students right now. They have wonderful workshops, legislative days, so making sure that within our budget for the year, we set aside some funding so that at least executive board, we can offer the opportunity for members to go and participate, and hopefully next year have someone from our university in a leadership role or presenting at those conferences. Because the legislative day was awesome for those of us that went and learning how to actually lobby for what it is that we're looking for as far as insurance, or if you're going into policy, it was an amazing day for us to go. And I know you were able to go to the actual conference itself outside of there. So offering those opportunities. So from what our other contestants have pretty much said, if we all work together to get it from grant writing to offer more opportunities to receive funding to go to these events and branching out a little bit more, I think that would be great. Those are the ways we can tap into our big umbrella group.
Other questions? Another question, Dan? Pushing back his hair.
Yeah, no. Make sure I look pretty. That was it.
All right, thank you very much. Julia, you're up.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Zakharova, and I'm from the Department of Psychology. I am a new member of GSO, and I'm here today because I need your help. And I believe the GSO is a great asset for our university. And I have some experiences with managing an organization here at ODU. I was a VP, then in this academic year I was a president of my professional student organization, Department of Psychology. I was happy to hear from Dr. Lewis that you plan to do a lot of updates on your constitution. What I did in my organization was something very similar. I stepped in and then everything was kind of like a confusion. We didn't really know what we have to do. Officer responsibilities were not very clear. And then we have the SGA new policies. So I updated all bylaws, made them in alliance with the SGA requirements. I updated the positions for each officer. I tried to make them like more efficient. And right now, like our organization is really streamlined. I also ask people like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to do like some kind of events? Like, what are those events? Because oh, I think we should do this and this and this. It's another thing to hear from the students, like what they really want to do. So we started like planning for the future like events that we can do, co-sponsoring events. So the end was right now our organization is structured in a way that we really comply with the HDO requirements and we maximize our budget's funding. So that was like the goal of streamlining the process. Now, I have a lot of different experiences with leadership. I manage my 4U race that work for my lab. I also work on the grants. But like the thing that was always missing for me and my experiences, and many of you have already mentioned this, is that we are often very isolated in our own fields. So in the fall, like this fall, I got this email about HGO, HSO, working from the office. I was like, what is this? Like, oh, I didn't read about it. And I was like, this is what I was looking for. So I want to come in as a vice president and hope the president, I'm happy to hear, potential president, hopefully, I hope to hear that she also wants to do networking. I think the key to our success with graduate students is networking. And right now, we're not very efficient at it. Even the graduate student appreciation week was very successful, and I hear it from many students. But one issue that I keep hearing is like, they go there, they see these posters, and they're not from their field, and they don't know what you ask, and they don't understand it. So there's kind of a thing that I know is that our efforts as a GSO will need to go to be more specific. For example, set events that will be for particular colleges, College for Science, and have people from the College of Science talk to each other, and like try to like be more customized in our efforts. So this is like things that I want to do among many others to reach the community, but this is my primary goal: streamline the bylaws, the procedures here, and I think the organization has done an amazing job over the last year. Continue to recruit, but also try to be more targeted and get people from the specific colleges talk about what kind of grants they're working on. Is there some way they can collaborate? And that's like where we've been pushed as graduate students to do grants. But how do we do that? And how do we do this like among the different disciplines? And that's also like what is needed. So GSO is kind of, for me, the link that connects those programs. And what I plan to do is really go and try to reach to every president of every association in each department, and try to get down to talk to each other, try to have an event, discuss like what are some ideas for us to do, for us to help them, and set events, and go from there and talk to the members. So it's really kind of like a bottom-up approach. So I have many ideas, and if you think that's something that is needed, I truly believe that will be very beneficial for everyone. So vote for me.
Questions for you?
Quick question. And actually, I'd like to get the response from the other two vice presidential candidates. Since we have three people running for vice president and no one running for treasurer, if any of the vice presidential candidates were unsuccessful in their bid to be vice president, would you consider serving as treasurer?
Yes. Yes. And I can certainly do that. I have experience with filing all the budgets for my organization. I streamlined that process, so I'm very familiar with this.
I have a question about, you mentioned that you'd like to see the organization go towards customizing what we do to specific disciplines like the College of Sciences. How would that fit in with the goal of interdisciplinary research and networking across the campus?
I think this is a long-term goal. I think it's, we can still have social events, but the first thing is to get like the people in the college to talk to each other. And I know some people from the oceanography graduate organization, they're very active. And some organizations are very active in networking, others are not. And I think that's the issue. When we go into each college, we get like the small organizations to network with each other. And then over time, we'll see people more communicating with each other and also communicate across colleges. So we can have like college-specific events and then overall events. So it's kind of like building a hierarchy and a structure. And once we achieve this structure, I think it will be a very effective process.
Other questions? She saw the
from the modeling simulation department, and this is my third semester. I came here last spring, 2012. I guess the other people in touch on the issue of networking and try to get all the local graduate organizations to departments under the direction of GSO. I feel like we can give GSO more power when it comes to presenting decisions towards grad students in general, and in particular some of the departments, because I know some of the departments are more of a say when it comes to the program, for instance, or some of the grants that they're allowed to have. So it's more like a try to gather everybody in the umbrella, because I think we have the same goal, so it shouldn't be isolated. I feel like GSO is kind of isolated from the other department. I do want to really for secretary, assistant vice president, and some of the experience that I had when mostly I was secretary of industrial society of industrial engineer in Colorado. We were able to get grants and funding for some of our presentations in the Colorado area, and we've been able to get a national membership, which we didn't have. So I think that was quite a good thing. I was also secretary in during my undergrad school that was in Morocco, which was doing is collaborate with the foreign, the custom service of the country, trying to get people with local, because the system over there is quite different from here. It's more complicated than this. So the challenge part was great for us to handle on the administrative level, get this ability to let people know of our needs and try to manage in any type of way how we can manage when someone is struggling or stuff like that. So I early age being exposed to that was quite great. Last year I wasn't really involved in anything because I'm affected over BMAT, that's what I'm working, which is on Suffolk, and it was quite challenging, very challenging, and I applied for anything else but work. So this year, so this semester as I came involved in some of the things that I just to go to TC with some of the grad students for the HNC day, it was great. I was great. So I started getting a sense of what GSO is all about. So I was I'm really willing to very much touch in that way. I'm also sitting in the graduate studies Senate Committee Senate, which is association of professor with students who represent the graduate studies. Graduate students in general, and I'm sitting in this committee, and all the issues that we are talking about is mostly related to graduate studies, most likely what the professors, not really touch on grad students, so it's kind of an issue that we might want to look at. And some of the, for the upcoming year, I was really again wanting to emphasize on the power of grad students, starting, for instance, having a permanent seat in SGA, so that most of the some of the decisions that they make could actually take us into account, because most of the decisions made is completely ignoring of us, which I think is not fair, because we bring the money in school, and the grad has spent it. So it's really something that I think is important. And hopefully, I think you mentioned that we already have one seat, but I don't know if it is a need. I think we should really be more active also.
actually have to cut you off, Lionel, because of the 5-minute time limit. But are there questions for Lionel?
I have a question. Part of the secretarial job is managing the technology. We work really hard, to use YouTube and things like that. How familiar are you with technology and comfortable are you with?
I am engineer, yes, engineer, and the language solutions are for the have quite advanced computer software.
So you're comfortable?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
checking.
Is the leading, research lab in language solutions, so I'm very comfortable.
Lionel, I wonder, since you have a connection to Tri-City, since you work there most of the time or have in the past, how can you do you have any strategies for drawing in students who attend distance sites like Tri-City?
I'm a streamline, the best option. And it's right, some of the students that are there actually have rarely come here. They take classes from Tri-City and they don't come here, so except for administrative reasons, have to go. So I guess that's one way I can think of this, email or online or something. At least let them know what's going on campus and give them a voice, to all things they have to say and take that into account. That definitely makes a difference.
Thank you. For about other questions anyway. So thank you, Lionel. Okay, Dorothy, you're up. And Dorothy is going for the public relations chair, and I forgot to mention Lionel was going for the secretary position. I mean, it's on your agenda, so I figured we all got the message anyway. But anyway, that was my bad. All right, Dorothy, you're on.
My name is Dot Collins, real officially Dorothy, but everyone calls me Dot. I'm actually currently a master's student in the sport management program. I will be here until May of 2014, for sure. And then I may elect to stay for the new doctoral program in sport management. I'm really enjoying my experience at ODU. From an academic standpoint, I've had a great experience with faculty. I kind of stumbled into ODU because it was here. I've been a coach in youth sports for 15 years. I was very divided between when I started looking at ODU, I was divided between wanting to go to straight higher ed and sport management. And ultimately I decided sport management because I felt my way of I had reached so many people over the years through coaching, through a sort of non-traditional educational setting, and I really wanted to continue with that. What I found since I've been here is great faculty, classes that have really engaged me, but what I haven't found is a strong connection to the campus community. Have I been involved with the graduate student organization? No, because I didn't know it existed, which really I think sums up why I'm here, because I feel I have a lot of gifts that will help to get this organization more well known in the graduate student community. I looked at the list of people who are members, and I don't think there's a single person from my department on that list. And almost every one of them is a full-time graduate student. I feel that it's really important that we start getting the word out in a way that the students are receptive to, that they notice. Like I said, I'm sure it was said to me at some point that there was a graduate student organization, an orientation somewhere, but it didn't stick. There was so much information, there were so many things going on. As far as my qualifications go, when I was an undergraduate a million years ago, I was a campus leader. I was the editor-in-chief of my university's newspaper. I was a leader as far as one of my big pushes back then was to get more students involved in political action in our local community, local politics. I lived in Minnesota at that time, and I worked very hard to get a large number of our students to attend the local caucuses during the 1998 presidential election. So that was something that was, very important to me back then. I've also worked to help found a nonprofit animal rescue group, which I did right out of college. It was a passion of mine. I got involved with some friends. We set up a actual nonprofit organization to aid rescuers of dachshunds, because we all had dachshunds, and provide a source of funding for independent rescuers throughout the country, because at that time, the existing rescue organizations were all very formulated and you had to be, in their little area. There was nothing for someone who maybe didn't have anyone nearby. So it was a completely new concept, and it was a way to bring in people who had been doing things independently on their own and were really struggling with the financial side of it. The organization still exists. I kind of moved on past dogs and rescue since I had my own children. But the organization still exists, and it is still using my original logo and all of those things that I designed. I also have years of experience working in communications and marketing. I lived in DC until about 2 years ago. When I graduated from my undergraduate, I took a job working as a communications director for a nonprofit banking organization. And then I moved on and worked for a software company that sold software and computer services to the government. And then at some point, I decided to move away from that, and I moved into coaching, into just coaching. I had been a college swimmer, and I kind of started coaching by accident. I found that I loved working with kids. I found that I really enjoyed being back on the pool deck on the other side of the main room. And that grew into a job that involved a lot of marketing, communications, athlete retention, athlete recruitment. So I have a lot of experience with recruiting people, getting them active, getting them involved, and not just getting, with kids, it's not just getting them to show up for practice, it's getting them to buy in. It's getting them to make their whole lifestyle something that is compatible with being an athlete. As far as the public relations chair position, I know I read in the job description that one of the things the public relations chair does is maintain Facebook, be involved with social media. Actually, my thesis for my master's is about creating community using social networking for sports fans who live outside of their hometown but maintain ties to their local teams where they grew up. So I feel very well versed in how to harness those kinds of technologies in an effective way. And becoming more well versed every day as I move along with that research.
Dorothy, we'll just have to stop there. Stick to the time limit. So are there questions for Dorothy? I was wondering, what are some specific concrete things that you would do differently in terms of getting the word out about the graduate student organization?
Well, I think all the suggestions that have been made about going into the classrooms and talking to people maybe in an environment that's a little bit less overwhelming than the big orientation is a great one. I also think there needs to be a follow-up. We need to I assume we must have a Facebook page, but as of yet, I haven't seen a link to it anywhere that I've been. Not on OrgSync, maybe not in the emails that I've gotten from the board when I was asked to, when we got the email from our advisors saying, hey, this is a great opportunity. Those presences, by making that presence right out front, I think students are very attached to their technology. Even students are busy, and I think that the younger students especially, social media and connecting online in a virtual platform is something that they're really comfortable with and something that they feel like they can take on the go. It doesn't interfere with the big picture for them. Okay, I'm really busy with classes, I'm really busy with studying, but I can just pop over here and look at this Facebook and that has what's going on here. Just takes a minute. It keeps people involved without requiring face-to-face contact. Face-to-face contact is important, but you have to encourage people to make it a priority. And if they feel invested through other sources.
Other questions for Dorothy? All right, thank you. So what will happen next is voting will begin in 12 minutes on OrgSync. So make sure to cast your vote today between noon and 8 o'clock. And the successful candidates will be contacted this evening directly by me through email. So, I don't know exactly what my night looks like. You know how it's always the last minute as a grad student sometimes. But it will be this evening. So even if you go to bed early, which I imagine nobody really does as a graduate student, then we'll be there. I know, I pull a lot of late nights. I'm sure we all do. And as I mentioned, the successful candidates will pull together because I believe in training everybody to know how to do everybody else's job. I think that's really important that we have that organizational knowledge. So Kelly, this year she should have been able to do the treasury job, and no doubt she could if she had to, step in. I just feel like sometimes we get caught up in things get very hectic, and sometimes you need to ask for help. You know, even though, oh, my job might need to submit this on OrgSync, well, maybe I need help doing that because I'm going crazy or I'm out of town at a conference. So I just feel very strongly that everyone should know how to do everyone else's. So that's why I want to have a group training and not just separate, like, all right, vice president will train the new vice president and so forth. I think that would be best. So any questions for me about elections? Or? Well, we're supposed to have Corey come, but it's 11:50. I'm not going to keep everyone waiting. I haven't seen him. He did say he was running late, but maybe something tied him up. So hopefully in the future he'll be able to join us. Do you have anything to add, Dr. Lewis?